Hey guys, welcome back to Adventures with Rosie. A little while ago we asked you if you had any questions that you wanted us to answer, so we thought we would sit down today and give them a crack.
Alright, now apologies if you do hear a small child giggling at a TV show. We put them in front of the iPad, the girls are asleep, so our time for this sort of thing is quite limited. But here we go. Alright, question number 1 comes from Alicia. Can you tell us a bit about yourselves, your kids' names, what you do for jobs, that sort of thing? So welcome, you must be new here.
Yeah.
I'm Bronson.
I'm Chelsea.
And we have 3 kids, Harvey who just turned 4, and Piper and Ruby who are
20 months?
Yeah. 20 months old.
They turned 2 in August.
August, yeah. And at the start of this year, the 1st of January, we threw everything we owned basically into this caravan, hitched it up, and we are now, 3.5 months in?
Yep, full-time.
To our full-time on-the-road lifestyle adventure. Yeah, so living in the caravan, absolutely loving it, eh?
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, it's working really well for us at the moment. Mm-hmm. Really enjoying it.
Bronson works for a software company and he works remotely, so he can work wherever we are, and usually just mornings, right? So you usually finish by about 1 o'clock each day, and then we have time for family time afterwards.
Yeah, so we typically work in the mornings and adventures in the afternoon, and it seems to work quite well. It allows us to kind of still pay all our bills and things, and it works really well. I've worked from home for quite a number of years. I actually work for my father-in-law, Chelsea's father, of course. My father-in-law, and we all work from home, we all work remotely, everyone in the company, and kind of works really well. So as long as we got internet, I can work. I still do a little bit of remote work for them as well. I worked for them for about 8 years, and still do a little bit, but my time's usually pretty full with the kids. Well, not a lot of free time.
No.
Yeah.
The next question comes from Juliet. Always interested in monthly budget or savings versus when you stayed in a house, typical day, meals, etc.
So that's a good question, and I think we are actually going to do a video on our budget, because that's kind of changed as we've travelled. Some things we thought we'd spend more on, some things don't change, right? Like food, for example, we still eat while we're living in the caravan, we still go to the supermarket. Obviously we've got activities, but then we don't have things like power bills. So, sorry, there's a 3-year-old.
4-year-old?
A 4-year-old, yeah. Loving what he's watching. So yeah, there's a few things that kind of, we did a budget before we left, but there's a few things that are kind of changed, and some things that stay static. So we'll do a full video, I think, on our budget. For us, it's probably not as cheap as we would have thought. Like, it's not a really cheap lifestyle, right?
No.
Yeah, because we still got food, and we've got 3 children. We've got too many children, right? They eat too much, they go through their clothes.
Yeah.
So yeah, not as cheap as you would probably think, eh?
When you work out like diesel costs and mileage and
more wear and tear.
Campgrounds we don't really stay in. We stay in more NZMCA parks or dock sites, but then you buy the dock pass and your NZMCA membership, and there's always costs to everything you do. It's definitely cheaper than living in a house,
for sure,
but probably not as cheap as we were expecting it to be.
So we'll do a full video on that in the coming days, weeks, months probably. Alright, next question. Tiffany asks, what have you found to be the biggest difference living in a caravan instead of a house? And the furthest you drive in a day. So to answer that one, the furthest we drive in a day, 2 hours is probably a stretch for us.
2 hours is kind of pushing it. Hour and a half, the kids start to get a bit scratchy. They've had their naps. They're all snacked out by that point, and they just want out and go for a walk. Yeah,
so that's kind of why as well it's taken us so long to get around where we've travelled in the South Island, because we like to go like an hour somewhere and then stay for a week, right? That we don't want to travel every day. Obviously, me working in the mornings, we're not like out exploring 24/7, so slower pace. And
we're taking our time. And it's good though, because it means we get to stop in little towns along the way as well. We're not just hopping from one big hub to the next, We're actually seeing all the smaller places.
True, yeah. So 2 hours probably. Biggest difference is interesting. Space,
we're under each other's feet a lot more in here, and things get a bit tense sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. Just people constantly pushing past you when you're trying to do something can be quite tricky, especially with the kids, because there's no personal space when it comes to kids. They are
Yeah. If you didn't see the video when we got stuck in the rain for a few days, I'll link that up here. But that was probably our kind of most time we've spent in here without going outside. Like Chelsea and I took walks in the rain to get out from under each other, you know, but it's not terrible. It's just, I think if kids are grading you at home or whatever, you can say go to another room, but this is just one room, so they're always on the bed, they're always on top of you.
I feel like they get bored a lot quicker if they're cooped up in the caravan because they can't get their own space either. Like sometimes Harvey will just go and take himself off to the bunks to get away from the girls for a bit, because otherwise anytime he gets a book out, they're sitting on his lap trying to get him to read to them, or he gets a toy out or a school project or something and they're all up in his business. So he's finding it hard a wee bit when we're stuck inside. But if we can open the door up and it's a nice day, then everyone's kind of coming and going and it's not so bad.
The trade-off, I guess, to that is like, it's a lot easier to clean the space. It gets messy in here. You guys probably don't see that, but Chelsea and I must sweep this.
Loud for you?
Yeah, that's too loud.
Is that too loud for you?
Yep, that's too loud. Yep, that's exactly what we're talking about. No. We can't hear the iPad. It's just you're laughing. It gets really messy in here. So like Chelsea and I would sweep this place out
4 or 5 times a day.
4 or 5 times a day. We took all our mats out of here. We had mats all over the floor when we first bought the caravan, but it was just like too messy. It's quite easy to sweep the floor out. It's kind of funny because it gets messy quick. Like if we get the Duplo out, this place is just like upside down in half an hour. But then on the flip side, we're not like spending that time in the evenings like cleaning big kitchens or vacuuming the whole house, right?
It's like 10 minutes and you've done the dishes and sorted the laundry and toys are all away and the floor's swept out and kids are all in bed.
So that is the flip side. Less space, less personal space, but it's easier to clean because it's smaller. So I guess swings and roundabouts.
Yeah. The next question comes from Phil and he asks, have you guys ever done RV/caravan overseas? I'm really interested in how Kiwi roads and campsites handle big rigs. Keen as to get a caravan in a couple of years, and of course the daydream is a huge one.
We'll keep daydreaming, that for starters. It's a cool lifestyle.
Yeah.
We went to America October 2018 or 19? I can't remember.
It would have been 18 because Harvey was about 1.5.
Yeah, Harvey was about 1.5. We hired a RV there. We hired a 21-foot RV. To give you perspective, this caravan is 19 foot, so we hired a 21-foot RV, which they considered their compact model. And we were blown away by how big the rigs are in America. Yeah. They just wouldn't work here in New Zealand.
No, they really wouldn't.
Yeah.
So the campsites over there were all pull-through ones. You didn't have to do any turning or backing in. And over here, that's all you get. There's no... It's very rare that you come across a campsite that's a pull-through one.
Yeah, where you just basically drive straight through and you're done. Yeah. Yeah,
you've got to be pretty proficient in backing and turning and...
We do get big caravans here. Like some people have big fifth wheels, 26, 27, 28 footers, but not like those big 30-foot buses that you have in the 40-foot buses in America. They blew our mind. People pulling a bus that's pulling a trailer with a Jeep on the back with a quad bike on the roof. Like we were just, and we're in our 21-footer.
And I don't think you'd get into many places like gateways and things leading into, even if the campground's big enough to take that sized rig, getting in there is always the hard thing as well.
Even just the roads here, like the roads aren't made for big vehicles here.
No, they're not, and there's always overhanging trees or a tight corner to get into a gateway. The amount of campgrounds that it's been like, I've been out there and we've had like that much room on either side of the caravan.
Of this caravan,
trying to get in.
Yeah.
Was it Waihi top 10? We had to reverse across the main road to get in through the gateway and then get people around us to help push the caravan into the side, and that's at like a top 10.
And we're paying good money to stay there. So I'll link the playlist to our American RV adventure, I guess, up here. Just if you want to watch it, don't judge us too hard. It was like early days of vlogging. We hardly talked. We went to cool places though. Yeah. National parks, Yosemite, like.
We could have done a lot more with the videos than we did.
We were just real early on. we kind of said, "Hey, we're here," and we showed a few shots, and then that was it. When we could have had, but you can see the RV we hired, and it was a bit of fun.
Yeah,
we'd like to do it again in the future for sure, and do a proper video.
But I think with New Zealand campsites and roads, the smaller the better, really. Like if you don't want to be
garbage.
You don't want to be having a massive rig that then limits where you can go.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Nikki's asks, how do you guys manage water when you're staying at NZMCA campsites or dock campgrounds? That's a good question. Most of the time they have potable water. We have a couple of jerry cans, I guess you'd call them, 23 litre ones that we often do trips. Like I'll do that this afternoon. Rather than hook up the caravan and tow it over to the tap, I'll just do 3 trips with 2 jugs of water, tip them through a funnel into the thing, and then we're good to go. Tanks are full again. We do the same for waste day. We often put it in a portable tank, 40 litre roller tank, and take it to the dump station. Sometimes there's dump stations on site, sometimes there's not, but
there's not really on dock sites. NZMCA sites, probably about half of them have water and dump.
Yeah.
What we've found around here.
It's just kind of it's a different sort of chore. I guess at home we'd be mowing lawns or vacuuming a huge house, right? So here we just collecting water. We'll often do it like, say if we go out for an adventure somewhere, we'll just take our waste tank with us and dump it on the way. So it's not a big deal. It's a bit of a chore sometimes if it's raining or something like that. But
I think the key as well is having a way that you can get water in and the grey water out without having to move your caravan.
Yeah.
Because if we were having, we go through so much water with the kids with baths and all the rest of it that if we were having to hook up, we'd just about have to hook up every night to go do water, every second night at least. And at least having the separate tanks, we can sort of chip away at it throughout the week without having it be a big thing.
Bit of exercise, yeah.
Aiden has asked, will you guys keep travelling after 1 year? New caravan?
We don't know. We're pretty happy with this caravan. There's obviously nice caravans out there, right? Bigger, better, whatever.
There's always ones we see and we're like, oh,
yeah,
that would be nice.
But this one has absolutely everything we need on the flip side. So
the one downside, I think, is the bike rack.
Yeah.
So I've got an e-bike and the bike rack on here is quite high off the ground.
Yeah.
And we just can't lift it in there. It's too heavy.
We didn't bother to bring it just because it's too high off the ground. We needed to figure out a different solution for that. But I mean, it's like anything, isn't there? There's always a better house you could buy, or a car or whatever. But everything works in here.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as traveling after a year, we're already sort of talking like we'll do this next summer or do that, because it's starting to get cold here in the South Island. We're in autumn for you overseas viewers. And there's places we want to go down south that we don't want to go and do now because we're going to get stuck in cold weather. Yeah. And it's not to say it's not a beautiful part of the country, but it's just like cooped up cold weather, small children.
I think it wouldn't be so bad if the twins were a year or two older than what they are now.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would enjoy it as much at their current age, being fully rugged up every time they have to go outside, you know?
Yeah.
So if we delay the bottom half of the South Island until next spring, summer, and do it then that's good. But then after that, we're like, but we want to go up north as well. We want to do the top of the North Island. Yeah. So we're already sort of
and then I want to go
pushing it out. And I'm thinking, we can do Harvey Correspondence School if we need to.
And then I want to go to America and do a loop of America as well. So who knows? Open-ended at this stage. Susan asks, what have been the 2 most challenging things you've experienced on the road? I guess what we touched on earlier, right? The space. Rainy days, small space.
For me, I think it's the mental load. So when you're at home in your hometown, you know you've got laundry in your house, you've got water on tap, you know where the supermarket is, I find going to a different town every week and having to think, okay, we've got 1 day left of water, where are we going to get water? Okay, we need to dump our tanks tomorrow, where's the dump station? Where's the nearest laundromat? Do they take card? Do they take coins? Where's the grocery store? Are they going to have everything that we need to get? And it can be a bit of a mental load when you're thinking about that every couple of days. You've got to start again from scratch. We've never been to any of these towns before, so yeah, it can be a decent mental load, and I think that's a bit of a challenge.
But then we go back to the same town, like we've visited a bunch of towns over and over, and we know them from being there last time, so it's kind of I guess it's just thinking ahead, where we're going to stay.
Yeah, you've always got something in the back of your mind that you've got to look into, you know.
Yeah, a few things have been a bit trickier as well, like I guess even like getting a haircut. Like you go to the same hairdresser for years, and now you're like, where do I get a haircut? And then like Chelsea got a haircut she absolutely hated from someone, and like or like the car needed a waff, and then it failed the Warren Fitness, and then it needed work done, and it was like, I don't have a go-to mechanic here because we've never been here before. So that sort of thing is just like a bit more, you got to kind of adapt a bit quicker, I guess, to it, and just kind of figure it out.
Yeah, and I think this winter might be interesting if anyone gets sick, because you've got to be enrolled in a GP here in New Zealand, and if you're not, it's quite expensive. So if you go to a GP that's not your one that you're enrolled at, it's quite costly. So
yeah, true, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, hopefully no one gets sick this year, and we've got to go visit. Harvey had to get his 4-year immunisations this week, so we just picked a GP online and took him into that. Yeah. But usually they get a bit stroppy if you're not enrolled with them and you're trying to go and see them. But
just on that, I had an ingrown toenail that got infected, probably in the wet weather we're staying in, and I went and saw the GP in the weekend, and it cost me $120 to get some antibiotics. So it would have been $20 back home, or $30, but yeah, that's the flip side, I guess. And that's not to say that everything's really hard. It's just there's different things you think about that you're not thinking about when you're at home. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ruth asks, how do you manage with washing and laundry, especially with the girls, when you're off grid? Well, we used to have a washing machine in Rosie. It came with one when we bought it, and it used pretty much a whole tank to do one load, and it was quite a small load as well. So we took it out. We just have a laundry basket in that space now, and we go to laundromats, and yeah, it's not too bad. We get about 5 days before we start needing to think about it, eh? We could probably stretch it out to a week and a half if we needed to, before we need to go to a laundromat. But yeah, it's just one of those things. The liquid laundromats are really good because you just preload a card and take that along and tap it on the machines, and
they work really well.
Yeah, they work really well, but not all towns have a liquid. There's a lot of small ones, so we just make sure we've got coins on hand. Usually I'll take the kids in the morning and go do the laundry while Bronson's working, and then we'll go hit the op shops while we're waiting for the washing to be done, look for new books and things like that. Sometimes Bronson will go out in the evenings when the kids are in bed, and he'll go do it then.
It's not as bad as we thought.
No.
It only gets tricky, like say we got a whole lot of wet stuff and it's raining, and then or if you're somewhere where there's no laundromat, right?
Or there's some things that you can't put in a dryer, right? Like
merino or the kids' bibs or whatever. So. All right, well, that concludes part 1 of answering your questions. We just thought we'd break it up into a couple of videos because we've got a lot of questions.
Yep.
So part 2 tomorrow.
See ya.